Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be telling you all about the day that I qualified for the UCI Gran Fondo World Series by winning the uphill time trial on the Col de la Croix in Switzerland. I'm going to include some clips of my time trial effort, but I kind of just want to tell you the story of how the day and how the effort unfolded. So I'm actually very proud of this performance, more so because a day or two after winning I actually contracted a virus, a viral infection. I was coughing up some horrible colourful gunk. I don't know how else to explain it. It was all coming out of my nose as well. I had headaches and just generally felt quite weak. We know that a lot of this stuff, there's illness going around the Tour de France currently as well at the minute. I did take part in the gravel fondo the day after, which there's a video coming of that, and I can't wait to tell the story because that was a really incredible day out. But I want to talk about the time trial. Finish in the top 25% of your category and you can qualify for the amateur UCI Worlds, which weirdly are flat. And this is a 7.5 kilometer hill climb, effectively, up a 7% average gradient. It's actually up the top of the Col de la Croix from Laverack, so it's the last 7 kilometers. And it's actually not a straightforward climb either. There's some changes in gradient, which I'll talk you through during the power overlay of the effort. I don't know if my legs are going to show up, but I'm still going to turn up and see what happens, because what 15 years of cycling has taught me is you can never write yourself off until you do it. Because of how I was feeling, and I hadn't done a max effort around 20 minutes for a long time, you know, a good few weeks, I didn't really know where to judge my effort. I knew what the effort should feel like, that never changes, but I didn't know exact numbers. And I was talking to somebody before the event, about an hour before my start time, and I was saying it's a fairly straightforward climb. There's a steep bit at the bottom, then there's a flat section, and then the last few kilometers are also steep. Let's rewind a little bit to earlier in the day. So we've actually been staying on a campsite in Grillon, which is the valley over from Laverack, which is where the events were taking place, all 3 events. And there was a unique opportunity to actually qualify for 3 events in 3 days at the UCI Gran Fondo World Series. So this climb, the Col de la Croix, is quite famous in Switzerland. It's a very, very long climb from the bottom to the very top. We were just doing the last approximately 7.5 kilometers, which average 6%. But like I said, the top 3.7 kilometers average like 9 to 10%. It's pretty savage right at the top. Now the pro peloton has actually raced up there. The men's Tour de Suisse very recently, this year in fact, set times in the region of 17.5 minutes. Now for me to win this event fresh, albeit slightly under the weather, I did 18 minutes 40, 18 minutes 50 seconds. I was the only rider to go sub 19 minutes. Also, if you're interested, the pros, they actually started the stage in the same place, and this climb was actually the first 8 kilometers of the stage, so they were fairly fresh when they were doing it too. Predict your performance. That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't know. I predict 18.
Steep.
It's flat for some of it.
False flat.
It's properly flat. It's not false flat.
It's like 2-3%.
I'd argue it's not even a climb. Better not say that too loud. So my pacing strategy was pretty simple.
As speed goes up, recover, and then hard finish. So, you know, this last section here is where the difference is made.
Albeit, don't go over 400 watts. Now, when you go over a certain altitude, and I know There's going to be people out there who live in the mountains all year round. Maybe some of you live in the US, and like 2,000 meters is like no problem for you. Well, I come from Wales, and I live 330, 340 days of the year, whatever, at sea level. So this elevation could prove to be a challenge. So I went into this time trial with the idea that I am going to ride close to 400 watts for the first couple of minutes. I want to get this steep section out of the way as soon as possible. Remember that it doesn't matter if it's a flat time trial or an uphill time trial, but particularly this one with a big section, big couple of minutes, where you're riding on a flat section of road, which makes it quite unique in a sense that, like I said to this chap at the start of the time trial, I said, you're far better off saving 30 watts to use them in the last 3K than you are to use them on that flat 3K. Like, what you will gain time-wise by using 30 or 40 extra watts for those couple of minutes versus the couple of minutes you'll spend longer on that section, it's a no-brainer. So I wanted to set off hard, but then I wanted to recover, which I was capable of doing. We weren't gaining any extra elevation by riding on that flat section of road, and it was quite fast. I was doing 40 kilometers an hour along that flat section, so time passed quite quickly, which is something you have to factor in, because the less time you spend on it, then the less time you have a chance to recover. I did hit this last steep section though, and I knew that I had to grit my teeth. No matter how much I'd saved, I knew that this last 10 minutes or so was going to be make or break. Now, I'd be lying if I said, I had it in the bag and I felt great. When you're at this elevation, your heart rate just seems to be out of control sometimes. And yes, I know I was fighting something off health-wise, but my heart rate was very quick to get to 180 beats a minute. And if any of you have ever watched my Zwift racing in the winter, that's very rare to see me in the high 170s. Sometimes you only see me there when I'm at the end of a very long, 30, 45, 1 hour time trial. These last 3.5 kilometers of the climb, I'm gritting my teeth and I'm trying to stay focused. But oh my word, when you're going up a steep climb and you start struggling, there's nowhere to hide. And I'd say that moment hit me. Probably with about 2 kilometers to go, and it was one of those moments where I just wish the finish line was just around the next corner. Like, I wish the finish line was 300 meters away. It's not often that those moments happen. I don't let myself get to that point, but obviously there were factors out of my control that was tipping me over the edge, and I felt for once that I could very easily park up at any moment. Like, I had to be very careful about how I was spending my energy, and I did notice my power starting to fall away ever so slightly. But in that moment, you've just got to not let things get away from you. You've just got to keep your composure and understand that as long as you can just last another 30 seconds, another 30 seconds, another 30 seconds, and don't watch the meters tick by, because they take ages to tick by. Just think about time. 30 seconds is actually a very short amount of time. It's never short when you're suffering, but it's short, when it's on your terms. And I just got to keep thinking that way. Now, I know in the last kilometer, it's the same for everybody, I think. When you get to that last kilometer, everything fizzles out and you're nearly there and you can just knuckle down and get it done. But I knew at that point as well, though, that I'd have the extra motivation of seeing Pierre-Alain's drone somewhere up above, getting those final shots of me coming across the line. So thank you for that, Pierre-Alain. He's a big fan of the channel and helped support and actually drive Charlie around for her to get some video of me on the last bend too. So that's much appreciated, mate. Really appreciate it. I also had a clip on Strava that I found from Alan True. I think that's right. If it was your footage, then thank you for standing on there and cheer. I could definitely hear you cheering for me. But yeah, thank you for sending that footage over. When I said across the line, I was absolutely gassed, right? I was done. got into the car park and just put the bike down, and I was just standing there just trying to get my breath back, and actually overcomes the oldest guy in the event. He said he was in his 70s, and unfortunately I didn't catch your name, but he said he's a fan of the channel. So if you're watching, let us know in the comment section who you are, because yeah, like if I'm ever riding like you're riding at your age, like I will be very, very happy. But thank you for coming over all the same. It made my day. So in terms of power and effort, I mean, I averaged a smidge under or around 360 watts, which is probably right around the 5.96 watt per kilogram mark. Obviously, at altitude, slightly under the weather. How many more times am I going to say that? You know, nowhere near the Sacalobra type of power that I've done. And also, actually, come to think of it, I did do that hill climb in Kill the Hill in Mallorca, but that wasn't quite the same altitude, I don't think. So you can obviously see visibly the step down. You know, Sacalobra is pretty much at sea level. That was, you know, high 380 watts. The Kill the Hill event, that was, you know, maybe 1,000 meters, a little bit above, but under 1,500 meters above sea level, and that was about 370, 360 watts, I think. And now this one, you know, that little bit higher again was about 360 watts. So it's pretty interesting to see, and needless to say, it was a good experiment, but obviously very happy to come away with the win. But I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank you for supporting even when things don't go to plan. We've got a couple of videos out of it, and I hope you enjoyed them. So stay tuned for the gravel event soon, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est le grand gagnant. He's coming. Congratulations, Edward. Fantastic. It's an incredible time. 18 minutes 53 secondes et 1 centième. Oh là 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 là. On va immortaliser ce moment. Un moment incroyable. Avec, voilà, les photos. Ça va, les garçons? Vous êtes prêts? Et maintenant, c'est la remise des médailles. Alors, le troisième. Félicitations. Thomas Goudla, Maxime Limon et Edouard Laverack, backpedal. Et maintenant, la petite jaquette, après la médaille. Ah, il veut déjà la médaille. Bon, ben c'est bien. Félicitations. Ils sont, bien sûr, ces garçons. Ouais, ouais. Make a jacket, ok. You have the time, Zoé. Thanks. Merci beaucoup. Il va mettre son maillot. Des garçons qui vont être, bien entendu, dans le rendez-vous contre la montre des championnats du monde. Il y en aura d'autres que je vais citer tout à l'heure. Bravo, félicitations. Quel effort, quel moment intense de Villars-sur-Olon jusqu'au col de la Croix. Bravo. On peut les applaudir, j'entends rien plus. Voilà. Il y a d'autres garçons, hein, bien entendu, qui vont être sélectionnés dans le cadre de ces championnats. Julien Ducret, Guillaume Doutet, Abel Van Verdin, Xavier Morandi, Marcus Kram, Jocelyn Roth et Noah et Jocelyn Roth. Voilà, ce sont
that's a nice one.
qui seront sélectionnés. Je vous rappelle pour ce contre la montre championnat.